Chosen one. Stop. Heaven has paused everything just to get your attention. You are not here by coincidence. This is not just another scroll. This is divine interception. God has summoned your spirit into alignment for one reason, because you dream differently. And no, that's not a poetic phrase. You literally dream differently when you sleep. Your spirit travels places others don't even believe exist. When your eyes close, realms open. That's not fantasy. That's divine design. You were never meant to dream like the rest. That's why their approval always felt like rejection. That's why when you tried to explain what you saw, what you felt, what you knew, you were met with silence or mockery. But hear this clearly. You are not delusional. You are not too sensitive. You are not too much. You are chosen. You've been dreaming with the mind of heaven. Your soul has been whispering what your mouth didn't have words to explain. While others dream of comfort, you dream of war, of crowns, of spiritual fire. You see shadows chasing light. You see doors, keys, floods, chains breaking, and you wake up knowing something shifted. Even if you can't explain what, that is not coincidence. That is divine communication. That is the language of the chosen. And because you carry these dreams, you carry a weight, a responsibility, insight that doesn't just bless it, burdens. Because when heaven shows you something, it expects you to respond. You've been asking, why do I keep dreaming this? Or why do I keep seeing them? The answer, because the dream is not a memory, it's a message. Why would God speak to you in your sleep unless there was something inside you he could trust? The world confuses giftedness with imagination. It labels the seer as strange. But heaven knows exactly who you are. What you see in the night speaks to your calling in the light. You've been chosen to see so others may believe. That's why the enemy wants you distracted, doubting, numb. If he can silence your dreams, he can mute your direction. But that ends now. From this moment forward, you reclaim your gift. You will no longer say, just a dream. You will recognize it as instruction. Listen what God reveals. He expects you to steward. Your dreams aren't random noise. They are navigation, sacred, strategic, sometimes strange, but never senseless. You dream of storms, and days later, turmoil arrives. You see fire, and something in your life ends. This is not fear, it's foresight. Your spirit is being trained to read divine code. We find it written in the book of Job, chapter 33, verses 15 to 16. In a dream or vision, when deep sleep falls on men, he opens their ears and seals their instruction. That's what's happening to you. Heaven has sealed instructions in your sleep. But if you don't recognize the pattern, you'll ignore the assignment. And that's why this message found you. Heaven is circling back. The dream keeps returning because the door is still open. Even nightmares carry revelation. You wake up shaken, but hidden in the fear is direction. God is speaking. And when he speaks in dreams, it's not to entertain you, it's to equip you. You're not shown things just to see. You're shown to build, warn, intercede, prepare. So what now? Take it seriously. Stop apologizing for your insight. Stop hiding your gift. Those around you weren't meant to understand what you see. You walk boldly, knowing God trusts you with things others can't handle. Write them down. Pray over them. And when God confirms, act. You are not just a dreamer. You are a divina decoder, a gatekeeper for what is coming. And if you've been waiting for confirmation, this is it. God has chosen you, and your dreams are the evidence. So, if this resonates, if your spirit is stirred, don't scroll past. Like this message. Share it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. This is not just content. It's a divine assignment sent to awaken your gift. And if this message hit your spirit, comment this number now, 707, a prophetic number meaning, I receive divine insight and I will not ignore it again. Oh, you weren't sent here to sleep through your assignment. You were sent to awaken others by first awakening yourself. The dreams you carry are seeds of movement, of revival, of glory. So take your place. Chosen one. This is your call. This is your moment. And heaven is still speaking. Are you listening? They didn't understand you because they weren't supposed to. From the beginning, your dreams set you apart. Not because they were more dramatic, but because they carried something divine. There are things heaven whispered to your soul that your surroundings had no language for. You tried to explain, but your words fell flat. You tried to share, but your voice was met with polite nods or uncomfortable silence. So you stayed quiet. But deep down, a question grew louder. Why does no one see what I see? Because God didn't show them. He showed you. Chosen one. Your vision was never for public understanding. It was a private revelation wrapped in spiritual assignment. That's why you were met with distance, disbelief, even mockery. Not because you were wrong, but because you were early. You saw the shape of something that hadn't yet formed. You were entrusted with a blueprint before the building even existed. God always gives vision before validation. And that in-between season, where you're carrying something real while being treated like it's imaginary, is what refines the chosen. You are not the only one to experience this. Joseph was despised, not for his actions, but for his dreams. The moment he opened his mouth, the atmosphere shifted. Why? Because his dream revealed a future that others weren't ready to accept. His brothers hated the dream because it placed Joseph in a position they couldn't see him in. And the same has happened to you. Your dream disrupted their image of who you're supposed to be. But that disruption wasn't a mistake. It was confirmation. God used your dream to separate you from what was familiar, because the next level cannot be built with yesterday's opinions. The misunderstanding was protection. The silence was divine. The distance was strategy. It was proclaimed in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verse 19. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. Some dreams are not meant to be shouted. They're meant to be carried, pondered, protected. Not every dream is ready for the ears of the insecure, the carnal, or the familiar. Some visions must mature in silence. Some assignments require isolation, and some revelations are so holy that heaven commands you to sit with them in stillness. You see, you've been grieving over who didn't understand you, but what if God never intended them to? There's purpose in being unseen. There's holiness in being misunderstood. The world teaches you to chase affirmation, but heaven trains you through consecration. And that often begins with being set apart. You weren't rejected. You were distilled, refined, prepared. They didn't leave because you were wrong. They left because the vision made them uncomfortable. And that discomfort is sacred. Because divine dreams shift things. They confront comfort. They challenge logic. And that's why, when you speak what God shows you, the atmosphere gets heavy. People get awkward. Conversations shift. Not because you are off, but because you are on assignment. And let's be honest, sometimes the silence hurts. Sometimes you wish just one person would see it, confirm it, celebrate it with you. But most of the time, they won't. And that's not punishment, it's precision. Because the more eyes on an undeveloped dream, the greater the risk of distortion. You must learn to protect what is precious. God showed you the vision because you are the one called to carry it. Not explain it, not prove it. Just carry it until it grows strong enough to speak for itself. And when the time comes, what once confused them will convict them. What once made you seem strange will reveal you were ahead. But until then, protect your oil. Don't waste it on those who were never assigned to walk with you. Don't cast the holy before the unprepared. You're not being arrogant. You're being obedient. The misunderstanding was never meant to stop you. It was meant to separate you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll move forward without needing applause, without needing consensus, without needing confirmation from people who haven't seen what you've seen. Because in the end, your dream doesn't need validation. It needs obedience. And when you obey, even in silence, even in solitude, heaven moves. The dream begins to unfold. The doors begin to open. What was hidden becomes undeniable. What was heavy becomes holy. And you, chosen one, begin to realize you were never waiting for them to believe in you. You were only waiting for you to believe in what God showed you. You've been carrying dreams that feel heavier than your body. You wake up with tears in your eyes, your heart pounding, your hands clenched, and no explanation for what just happened. Because what you saw was not from your imagination. It was from somewhere else. It was given to you, not for entertainment, but for execution. Chosen one. You've been entrusted with prophetic dreams, not the kind that fade with morning light, but the kind that cling to your bones, the kind that wake you at 3 a.m., the kind that make you weep without knowing why, the kind that leave you with one overwhelming sense. This means something, and it does. These are not ordinary dreams. They are spiritual downloads, assignments, messages encoded in symbols and visions. Sometimes, what you dream is not about you. It's about a nation, a family line, a generation, a system, and yet, the responsibility to interpret and respond lies with you. No wonder it feels so heavy. When heaven trusts someone with foresight, it also requires spiritual maturity. Because what good is a revelation without response? What use is a warning that never becomes action? This is why your dreams weigh so much, because they are invitations to partner with God. Let me make it plain. You are not dreaming just to know. You are dreaming so that you will move. And here's the truth. Very few will tell you prophetic dreams are not always glorious. They can be disturbing. They can be painful. They can feel like warfare. Why? Because they're not fantasy. They're battle plans. You are being shown enemy tactics, spiritual breaches, or divine shifts. Before they manifest, you're being prepped before the natural world ever catches up. You've been waking up, shaken, because your spirit has been active. You've been interceding without speaking, fighting without moving, seeing things too heavy for words. You know it. You feel it. Even now, your soul remembers dreams you had years ago that still haven't left. That's not trauma. That's assignment. And you keep asking, why me? Why do I dream of disasters before they happen? Why do I see deaths before the announcement? Why do I hear names I've never spoken out loud? Because you are a spiritual responder, a divine siren. God is using your dream life to intercept what the enemy is planning. You've been warned so that you can war. It is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 23, Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. End 1. This includes what you see in the spirit. Some dreams are not random images, they are divine alarms, spiritual codes, and emotional burdens planted in your soul for protection. And heaven is asking you to guard them, to act on them, to pray them through. So the next time you dream of running through fire, escaping floods, flying through strange skies, don't rush to forget it. Ask heaven, what was I being shown? What do you need me to do? Some dreams are calls to pray. Others are alerts to change direction. Some are meant to protect. Others are assignments to speak up, step out, or stand in the gap. And yes, sometimes God lets you feel the pain of others in your dreams, so you'll know how to intercede for them. This is deep spiritual work, and it's not glamorous. It won't always get applause. People may still call you weird, dramatic, or too spiritual. Let them. You weren't chosen for their approval. You were chosen for heaven's agenda. And if you've been feeling the weight of what you're carrying in your sleep, I want you to pause right now and recognize this is not punishment. This is placement. Heaven has placed trust in you. That's why this feels like too much, because it's not just for you. It's about what comes through you. And even if you feel underqualified, ill-equipped, or emotionally overwhelmed, God is not asking you to be perfect. He is asking you to be available, to steward what He reveals, to treat your dreams like divine instructions, not spiritual entertainment. Let me tell you, some of the most powerful breakthroughs will come, not from a platform, but from a pillow. Some of your greatest battles will be fought in the realm of sleep. Some of your most important victories will come when no one else is watching. Because spiritual warfare doesn't follow daylight hours. You're not just dreaming, you're fighting. And so now, I want you to comment this below. I'm on watch. And why? Because these 3 words declare something powerful, that you are spiritually alert, that you understand your dreams are divine signals, not just sleep stories, that you are not spiritually asleep, you are posted at the gate, on guard, awake in the night, ready in the spirit. When you type those words, you're not just commenting, you are reporting for duty. Not every dream you've had has come from God. Yes, you are chosen. Yes, heaven speaks to you in the night, but you must also awaken to this truth. The enemy also sows in the dark, while God uses dreams to instruct, heal, and prepare. The enemy uses them to confuse, distract, and derail. You must learn to discern the difference. Some dreams leave you with peace, even if they carry warning. Others leave you with torment, anxiety, fear that lingers well into the next day. Not every image that enters your sleep is holy. Not every vision is prophetic. Some are infiltrations planted to look like revelation, but designed to manipulate your emotions and wear down your spirit. Spiritual warfare doesn't pause while you sleep. In fact, that is often where it intensifies. The night is a realm of deep spiritual activity. When the body rests, the soul becomes more sensitive. It is in these hours that both heaven and hell seek access. And if you are not spiritually guarded, the enemy will invade your rest with confusion, not because you've failed, but because you are dangerous to darkness. The more prophetic you are, the more targeted your dream life becomes. Satan doesn't waste time attacking neutral people. He targets those who see, those who carry vision, those who carry insight that can shift families, cities, nations. If he can't stop you in the day, he will come at night. That's why you've had dreams that made no sense, full of chaos, strange symbols, and unclean patterns. Dreams that don't align with your character or calling. Dreams that try to seduce, entangle, or disturb. They were sent as distractions, hoping you would wake up in fear or confusion, doubting your own discernment. And if you don't confront them, they begin to shape your soul. Because dreams, when left unchallenged, begin to plant belief systems. One demonic dream can lead to days of anxiety, weeks of hesitation, months of delay. If the enemy can't stop your vision, he'll try to make you question it. If he can't shut your mouth, he'll try to contaminate your confidence. You must not allow it. You are not just called to receive dreams, you are called to war over them. Every dream must be tested. Every image must be weighed. You must ask, does this dream align with the Word of God? Does it carry peace or fear? Did it come to build, warn, or weaken? Because God never sends confusion, and He never sends shame. We see this clearly in the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 25. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and went away. There it is, clear and undeniable. The enemy plants while we sleep. His goal, to corrupt what God has spoken, to create spiritual noise in the midst of divine clarity. He wants you tangled up in weeds, dreams that look real, feel urgent, but lead nowhere. This is why discernment is critical. You must build spiritual muscle in the night. You must pray before you sleep. You must cover your atmosphere with the Word. You must break unclean patterns the moment you wake. Because if you allow demonic seeds to linger, they will grow into confusion. And confusion is the breeding ground for spiritual stagnation. Chosen one, this is not to scare you, it's to sharpen you. God is not calling you to fear the night. He is calling you to rule in it. You were never meant to be a passive dreamer. You were meant to be a watchman, even while you sleep. That means if a dream unsettles you, you confront it, you renounce it, you take it to prayer, you speak the word against it. You cancel the assignment of darkness before it manifests in your life. Don't wait. Don't brush it off. Don't excuse it as just a dream. And because dreams are spiritual currency and the enemy is trying to bankrupt you, you must fight smarter. You must recognize what's being planted. You must protect your rest like the battlefield it is. Because the truth is, your dream life is either a place of revelation or a place of warfare. Often it's both. So rise, not just as one who dreams, but as one who guards the dream realm, one who understands the weight of what passes through the night, one who no longer wakes up confused, but equipped. God is still speaking, but so is the enemy. You must know the difference. And when you do, confusion breaks, fear dissolves, and you begin to dream not just with vision, but with authority. You don't just carry light, you are the light. And that's why the dreams come for you the way they do. That's why the attacks aren't subtle. That's why your rest is often invaded, your sleep disrupted, your dreams drenched in intensity. You are not just anyone. You are marked. And darkness recognizes your presence even when you sleep. The enemy has studied your anointing. He knows that when you wake up aligned, when you rise from rest with clarity and obedience, territories shift. Generational chains begin to break. Cycles unravel. The demonic realm loses ground every time you say, "Yes, Lord," to what you've seen in the Spirit. That's why your dream life is under attack. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're dangerous. Chosen one. Let this truth sink deep. If your dreams are drawing fire, it's because they carry fire. You've seen things that were meant to unlock deliverance. You've heard names in your sleep that were assignments. You've woken up with burdens to pray for people you barely know. That wasn't random. That was the Spirit moving through you while your body rested. God has been using your rest as a weapon. This is why we must take this seriously. You can't afford to treat your dreams like passing images. You can't ignore them just because the world ignores theirs. You are not the world. You are set apart. And when God speaks even in symbols, even in strange patterns, even in dreams you don't fully understand, your response matters. We are in a time where sensitivity to the Spirit is not optional, it's essential. The warfare has increased. The deception is louder. And while many are asleep in every way that matters, you have been stirred. That's not an accident. That's assignment. And yes, you might be tired. Yes, you might feel overwhelmed. But even now, heaven is surrounding you with new strength. You're not walking this out alone. God is training your senses, sharpening your spirit, giving you language for what you've been seeing for years, but couldn't explain. You've made it this far, and that is evidence that the darkness couldn't stop what was planted in you. It is written in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 22, He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. End of D. Your dreams are not accidental. They are insights from heaven, revealed in the quiet of night. They carry solutions, warnings, confirmations, and instructions, sometimes buried in strange symbolism, but always purposeful. That's why they matter. And that's why we must honor what we've been shown. Take note of what you see. Pray before you sleep. Ask for clarity when you rise. And if God gives you insight that blesses others, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Multiply the light. That's why messages like this exist. To help you stay aligned. To help you keep your fire lit when everything around you says, tone it down. And if this has been feeding your spirit, consider giving back. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. You never know who else needs to hear what you're hearing. There are others, just like you, isolated, confused, spiritually awake, but emotionally exhausted, searching for confirmation that they're not crazy, that they're called. Maybe your share becomes the lifeline they've been waiting for. And if this ministry has helped you grow, if it's sharpened your discernment or confirmed your calling, and you feel led, consider sowing into it. No pressure, no hype, just obedience. Because sometimes, planting into where you're fed opens doors you couldn't force open with strength alone. When you invest in what builds you, you're saying, God, I honor what you're doing. Amen. Now, back to you. Some of your dreams feel heavy because they are not just for information, they are for intercession. Not every dream needs to be explained. Some need to be prayed through. You weren't just shown something, you were trusted with something, and that trust means responsibility. You are not responsible for the outcome, but you are responsible for your response. So, write it down. Steward it. Guard your sleep. Protect your sensitivity. Don't let the distractions of this world cause you to treat your dream life like background noise. Because in the silence of night, heaven is often loudest. You've been anointed not just to see, but to respond. And every time you respond, the kingdom advances. So don't dismiss what happens in the night. Don't overlook the whispers that wake you. The more faithful you are in the unseen, the more heaven will reveal. What starts in shadows will manifest in light, because you were never meant to sleep through your assignment. Chosen one. Have you noticed it? That same dream keeps coming back again and again. Maybe not every night, but it circles, repeats, evolves. Whether it's a place, a person, a sound, or a scenario, something keeps resurfacing in your sleep, and you're left wondering, why do I keep seeing this? Because heaven hasn't moved on, and neither should you. God repeats himself when you refuse to respond. He repeats because he's merciful, not because he's impatient. He shows it again, not to frustrate you, but to remind you that pattern, that vision, that strange feeling when you wake, it's not random. It's divine mercy, coming back for what you were too afraid to confront the first time. This is the difference between common dreamers and called ones. Common dreamers forget. Called ones feel the weight. The repetition isn't noise, it's urgency. And if it's still showing up, it means heaven still expects a response. There's a spiritual principle at work here. God does not waste revelation. If he shows it, he intends for it to be stewarded. And when we ignore the message, delay the obedience, or dismiss the warning, he brings it back in another way, another layer, sometimes clearer, sometimes heavier, but always with purpose. It is written in the book of Genesis, chapter 41. Verse 32. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in two forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. God repeats what is settled, what is certain, what is coming. So if something keeps echoing through your dream life, don't take it lightly. He's not trying to confuse you. He's confirming that this matters, that it's time sensitive. That action is required, because delay is disobedience disguised as indecision, and heaven is not repeating itself for entertainment, it's sounding the alarm. Some of you are in spiritual cycles, not because you're under attack, but because you're ignoring an instruction that was first given in a dream. You're asking for breakthrough, but heaven is waiting for follow-through. The dream about that door you never opened, the repeated storm that hits right before you wake, the same voice calling your name in different places. All of it is heaven knocking over and over, waiting for you to get up and answer. And here's what you need to understand. Every time you brush off a recurring dream, you prolong the process. You postpone the blessing. You delay the protection. God is not repeating himself because he ran out of words. He's repeating himself because you've been living as if you didn't hear him the first time. And he loves you too much to let that go. Repetition in the dream realm is not just about spiritual warning, it's about divine mercy. He could have stopped speaking. He could have moved on to someone else. But he didn't. He's showing it again because the door is still open. And that open door won't last forever. Heaven has a rhythm. And when God says move, obedience must match the moment. So ask yourself, what have I been shown that I've ignored? What have I seen 3, 4, 5 times now that I've labeled weird or random? What patterns have I dismissed because I was too tired, too distracted, or too uncertain? Don't let fear convince you to ignore what God has made unmistakably clear. When the same dream returns, you're not being haunted, you're being pursued. God is chasing your obedience. That is love. That is grace. That is a father who's not finished with you. The same way a parent repeats a warning not to nag, but to protect the spirit keeps showing you, because something ahead requires your alignment, and what seems repetitive to your mind is revelatory to your spirit, because each time the dream returns, it carries more urgency. It tugs harder at your soul. It pushes you to either act or harden, and that's the line many are standing on now. So let this be your wake-up call. If the vision has returned, it's because heaven is still knocking. If the dream is still echoing, the window is still open. But for how long? If this resonates with you, if you've been feeling the repetition, if you've seen the dream come back again and again, unshakable comment. This number right now, 414. Why 414? Because it represents repetition with revelation. It symbolizes Genesis 41:4, when Pharaoh's dream repeated because God had made his decision and was about to act. When you type 414, you're declaring, I hear you. Lord, I remember what you showed me. I won't delay any longer. And please, it's more than a number, it's a response. So what will you do now? Chosen one, heaven has spoken again. Don't make God repeat himself a third time. You've seen what others can't. And that's why life has never felt quite normal for you. Even before you understood what it meant to be chosen. Even before you had language for the things you saw. You knew deep in your bones that you were different. You looked around at what seemed to satisfy others and wondered, why doesn't that work for me? The conversations felt shallow. The routines felt empty. The normalcy felt foreign. Because your spirit was already awake. Your dreams have always reached further than your surroundings. You've had visions that left you speechless. You've seen symbols, places, people, and events in your sleep that haven't even happened yet. And when you try to speak of it, you either stumble for the right words or hold your tongue altogether, because deep down, you know, not everyone can handle what you're carrying, what others call imagination. You recognize as revelation. There are some dreams so vivid, so precise, that even now, years later, you can recall every detail. You remember the color of the sky, the way the wind moved, the feeling you had in your chest when you heard that voice or crossed that threshold. And no matter how much time passes, the dream never fades. Why? Because it wasn't just a dream, it was a glimpse. You weren't just being entertained in your sleep, you were being escorted into a realm most people never touch. And once you've seen what heaven shows you, it becomes impossible to go back to living like you haven't. That's why mediocrity frustrates you. That's why surface-level religion leaves you restless. That's why comfort doesn't satisfy. Because what you've seen requires more obedience, more holiness, more sacrifice, more awareness. When God allows you to see beyond the veil, He also holds you accountable to what you've seen, because revelation always demands a response. He didn't just show you to impress you, He showed you to mark you. And yes, it feels lonely sometimes. It feels strange to live in a world that celebrates shallow things while you wrestle with the weight of glory. But isolation is often heaven's way of protecting revelation. The more rare the encounter, the more carefully it must be guarded. You've been entrusted with mystery. That's not something to take lightly. As it is written in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human mind has conceived, the things God has prepared for those who love Him. That's what your spirit has touched in the night hours. Things too holy for common language. Truths too vast for your intellect to explain. And still, God allowed you to see. There are times you've woken up from a dream and felt like something in you had shifted permanently. Like you couldn't go back to who you were before. Like part of your spirit had aged overnight. That's not emotionalism. That's spiritual acceleration. God is moving you quickly, not for speed's sake, but because what you've seen must be carried into the earth. And you? Yes, you have been chosen to carry it. That dream of walking through a desert but never thirsting, that vision of stepping into a room full of strangers who called you by name, that glimpse of fire pouring out of your hands, or wings lifting you over chaos, or rivers flowing from your mouth. It all meant something. It was coded, and you felt it in your soul. Even if your mind couldn't fully explain it, these weren't empty dreams. They were identity markers, each one revealing a part of who you are, what you carry, and what God is shaping you to become. And the more you saw, the more set apart you became, not out of arrogance, but out of obedience. You didn't choose to be different. You were designed that way. But here's what you must understand now. Seeing is not the finish line. It's the beginning. Once you've seen, you must walk accordingly. The dreamer who sees must also become the one who stewards. That means staying sensitive, staying submitted, keeping your heart clean, your motives pure, your ears open. It means refusing to compromise what you've seen, even when others don't believe you saw it. You are not crazy. You are not making this up. You are called. There's a reason you've always felt things deeper, heard things others missed, picked up on spiritual shifts in rooms full of silence. It's because you're spiritually tuned to frequencies others aren't listening for. That's a gift, and with it comes great responsibility. So don't minimize your sight. Don't apologize for your sensitivity. Don't downplay what you've seen to make others comfortable. God trusted you enough to show you. Now trust Him enough to believe what you saw. Some dreams don't come to comfort you. They come to warn you. They interrupt your night. They shake your spirit. You wake up sweating, breathless, troubled in your chest, unable to explain why. The details may be unclear, but the feeling is unmistakable. Something is off. That is not anxiety. That is not stress. That is spiritual intelligence sounding the alarm. Chosen one. Hear this carefully. Not all warnings come in words. Some come in symbols. Some come through tension in the spirit. Some come wrapped in strange dreams that feel like riddles. But just because you don't immediately understand them does not mean they aren't from God. He speaks in layers, and warnings are often disguised in mystery. These dreams are not meant to scare you. They're meant to prepare you, because what's coming requires your discernment, your spiritual radar. You've been seeing certain people, places, or patterns in your dreams for a reason. You've been shown the same hallway, the same face, the same betrayal more than once, because heaven is trying to get your attention before life hits. And what many call paranoia is often just unpracticed discernment. You are not being overly cautious when you take a dream seriously. You are being wise. Because to ignore a spiritual warning is to invite natural consequence. God will always warn before he allows something to shift. He sends dreamers ahead of impact. And you, chosen one, are among them. You've likely had moments where you said, "I knew that was going to happen." You felt it. You dreamed it. You sensed it, but you didn't act on it. And afterward, you were left with regret. That wasn't a failure. It was a lesson, a divine training moment to teach you how heaven communicates. And now that you've been trained, you are expected to respond. Sometimes a warning dream is about danger, a person who carries hidden motives. Sometimes it's about timing, an opportunity that looks right but is misaligned. Sometimes it's about your own heart, showing you where pride, fear, or compromise has snuck in undetected. These dreams are mirrors, not just maps. They show you what must be faced before it becomes too late to fix. It was written in the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 7. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets. God reveals before he releases. He warns before he allows. But the question is, are you listening? Not every dream is a call to speak. Some are a call to shift, to back away from a connection that's draining your anointing, to pause before you say yes to something that looks good but isn't God, to check your surroundings, because what's smiling at you in daylight may be planning in darkness. The spirit realm never sleeps, and neither can your discernment. This is why some dreams seem like puzzles. They're not always direct. They demand you sit with them, pray through them, listen beyond the image, because the deeper the warning, the more carefully it is wrapped. God hides it not to confuse you, but to protect it from casual interpretation. He hides it for those who seek. And that's who you are. You're not just a dreamer, you're a watchman. And watchmen don't panic when they see storm clouds, they prepare. When you're shown a warning in a dream, you're not meant to spiral. You're meant to respond in prayer, intercede, change direction if necessary. Warn who needs to be warned only when led. Fast. Listen. Obey. Because warnings aren't punishments. They're invitations to protection. What God shows you in a dream is not inevitable, it's interruptible. Many disasters were prevented by those who saw ahead and obeyed. Many attacks were cancelled because someone dared to respond before reacting. Don't let your natural mind convince you to ignore what your spirit knows. The most dangerous thing a dreamer can do is treat a warning like fiction. God trusted you with the glimpse. Now he's watching what you do with it. So next time your spirit is disturbed by what you see in the night, Don't just shake it off. Don't just say, "That was weird," and go about your day. Stop. Ask. Seek. Write. Wait. Heaven is speaking, and warnings are mercy in disguise. You were chosen to see it coming, so you can be the one who shifts the outcome. Because when the warning is honored, the damage is diverted, and when the dreamer responds, destinies are preserved. You don't just see storms, you silence them. You don't just witness the threat, you rise with divine authority to interrupt it before it touches what God has marked as protected. There's a reason you keep dreaming of crowns, of battles, of being surrounded but not overtaken. There's a reason you've seen yourself in armor, standing on mountains, walking through fire, lifting swords of light. Your dreams are not random, they are revelations of who you truly are in the Spirit. Chosen one. You were born for dominion. This is why your dreams have always looked different. You've dreamt of leading when you were still hidden. You've dreamt of war before you even understood warfare. You've dreamt of glory while walking through grief. Because your spirit already knows what your present circumstances are still catching up to. You are royalty in training. And heaven keeps showing it to you, not to flatter you, but to form you. You've dreamt of thrones, crowns, mantles, oil, flames, kingdoms rising and falling. You've seen yourself running not in fear, but in assignment. That's because God is revealing your spiritual identity through symbols of authority. The battles you face in the night are not meant to scare you, they're meant to activate you. Because the enemy fears your awakening. He knows what you carry. He knows your dreams have been unlocking your identity. That's why he tries to attack your mind, your confidence, your sense of purpose. If he can keep you distracted by your present pain, you'll ignore your eternal position. But heaven is not allowing that anymore. You're being reminded of who you are. And yes, there's a price to it. Authority costs. The ones who carry crowns must also carry crosses. That's why your life has been heavier. That's why your warfare has been personal. That's why some of your dreams shake you to the core. Because what you carry terrifies the darkness. Let that sink in. Your existence is a threat to hell. You are not weak. You are not overlooked. You are not defeated. You are dangerous. You are a spiritual warrior with the authority to pull down strongholds, tear through deception, and declare life where others see only death. Your dreams of warfare have been training grounds, lessons dressed in symbols. Every time you dreamed of fire but came out untouched, heaven was telling you, you're covered. And every time you saw yourself running through the battlefield, it was never to retreat, it was to charge forward. Every time you dreamed of standing alone, it was because you've been set apart to lead, not to blend. You have spiritual rank, even if people around you don't recognize it yet. It is written in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11, I am coming soon. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. There it is. Confirmation. You were meant to carry a crown, not just in dreams, but in life. A spiritual crown of calling, obedience, victory, and authority. But make no mistake, crowns can be lost, delayed, stolen. That's why the warning is clear. Hold on to what you've been given. And here's the thing about crowns, they're not light. They carry weight. They require posture. They demand alignment. You can't wear one and still walk like a slave. You can't carry royal oil and live with a common mindset. That's why God has been confronting you, even in your dreams, calling out compromise, shaking loose the lies, showing you visions of who you really are, not who you've been pretending to be. The crown you keep seeing in your dreams is not imagination, it's inheritance. It's what you were born to walk in. But you must choose it, because every crown comes with conflict. Every calling draws opposition, and every spiritual warrior must decide, will you retreat into comfort or rise into kingship? There is no neutral territory in the spirit. You're either advancing the kingdom or you're standing still while darkness gains ground. But God is awakening your identity so that you can advance, so that you can take your place in the ranks of those who are not just chosen, but commissioned. So if this speaks to your spirit, if you've been dreaming of crowns, swords, fire, battle, glory, comment below. Crown me, Lord. No, just 3 words, but they are more than a comment. They are a declaration of identity, a surrender to destiny, a spiritual transaction. When you type it, you're not just agreeing with this message, you are stepping into alignment. You are saying, Lord, I no longer resist what you've shown me. I accept the weight of what I'm called to carry. You are placing your old self aside and receiving the royal mantle Heaven has been holding out to you in dream after dream. Crown me. Lord means I choose obedience over comfort. I choose identity over insecurity. I choose to rise. Because the throne you've seen in your dreams is not a fantasy, it's an invitation. And heaven is still waiting for your yes. And as two, this isn't entertainment. This is an encounter. What you're reading right now isn't just another message, it's divine alignment. Heaven doesn't waste revelation. So if this has found you, it's because your spirit was ready before your mind caught up. This is not just confirmation. This is a divine push. You've been sensing it, the pressure building in your dreams, the urgency in your spirit. You've seen too much to sit still now. Your visions are intensifying for a reason. They're not for admiration. They're instructions waiting for activation. Chosen one. Your dream life has been prophetic, not poetic. What you've seen is not entertainment, it's a scroll written by God, sealed with fire. Now, being opened before you piece by piece in the watches of the night. And every image, every warning, every symbol has carried one clear directive. Do not delay. Move. Because for some, dreaming is a gift. But for you, it is a responsibility. You're no longer just a seer. You're being called to be a steward. It is not enough to watch. Now you must build. Not someday. Now. It was proclaimed in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 22. But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. You've heard, you've seen, you've been marked. So now the only question left is, will you move? Your hesitation may feel humble, but in the spirit realm, delayed obedience is still disobedience. God didn't give you these dreams just so you could feel deep. He gave them so you would become dangerous, so that you would construct what He's revealed. The mantle is shifting, the scroll is opening, and you're being summoned to build what you saw. Maybe you're afraid of getting it wrong. Maybe you're waiting for more clarity. But clarity doesn't always come before obedience. It comes through obedience. The dream will make more sense when you start walking it out. You've written the visions down. You've wept over them. You've warred in prayer. But now the Spirit is saying, where is your movement? Because vision without action is deception. It tricks you into thinking obedience has occurred just because revelation did. And you are not called to be deceived. You are called to demonstrate. This word is not to shame you. It's to launch you, to awaken the builder in the dreamer, to call forth the lion in the lamb. You have spiritual blueprints buried in journals, hidden in your phone, tucked away in your memory. It's time to unlock them. And if this is stirring something in you, don't silence it. Pause right now. Like this message. Share it. Subscribe if you haven't. Not out of routine, but because others need to hear what you're hearing. The dreamers are waking up, and every share is a trumpet in someone else's night. Be the spark that stirs them. And if this message has fed your spirit deeply, if it's answered what no one else could confirm, then consider sowing into it. Not because I need, but because heaven responds to honor. Where there is prophetic release, there is always the option to honor the soil it came from. Give, if you're led. But above all, move. Move in faith. Move in obedience. Move in alignment. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait until others understand. They weren't given the dream. You were. And you don't need full resources to begin. You need full obedience. The dream always precedes the provision. God funds what He births. But you must begin moving before heaven releases the next instruction. You must stop rehearsing the dream and start becoming the person capable of carrying it out. This is the line. This is the threshold. This is the moment when dreamers become builders, when hearers become doers, when visionaries stop hiding. And I need you to know something. Chosen one, your yes will unlock more than you. Your obedience creates ripples. Generations shift when you step into alignment. Territories are transformed when one dreamer dares to believe God wasn't exaggerating. What you carry is heavy because what it births is holy. So rise, get up, shake the dust off, build. Heaven is watching. And when you do, when you take that first trembling step, heaven will breathe on it. The oil will flow. The doors will open. The favor will follow. Because obedience is the seed of movement. And movement unlocks manifestation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. This is the moment. The angels are already in position. The scroll has already been opened. All that's left is you. There's a certain weight that comes with seeing too much. A certain ache that sits in the soul of a dreamer who's been trusted with heaven's secrets. You know it. You've lived it. The heaviness that follows a dream you can't forget. The silence that follows a vision you don't know how to explain. The inner conflict of carrying something that no one around you seems to understand. You're not imagining that weight. You're not being dramatic. You're being entrusted. You've been called not only to see, but to bear what you see. And the more heaven shows you, the more heaven shapes you. Because the vessel must match the vision. The weight of your dreams isn't punishment, it's preparation. Your dreams have been filled with symbols of responsibility, scrolls in your hands, maps opening before you, buildings rising from your footsteps, flames resting on your shoulders, and whether you understood them fully or not, your spirit responded. Because something inside you already knows you're not here to merely witness, you're here to steward. You're not an observer. You're a carrier. And that's why the fire hasn't let you rest. That's why certain dreams linger longer than others. That's why you can't go back to sleep after certain visions. It's not just about what you saw, it's about what you absorbed. Some dreams don't just inform your mind, they shape your spirit. You've walked differently since then, talked differently, prayed differently, and yet you still feel the tension. Because while your spirit has seen much, your surroundings may not yet reflect what's been revealed. And that contrast between vision and visible is what tests the soul of every chosen one. But take heart, it's meant to feel this way. The space between dream and destiny is where character is forged, where surrender is tested, where motives are refined. You're not stuck, you're in process. You're not being punished, you're being proven. Even Joseph, the dreamer, was shown images of kingship while still wrapped in rejection. He saw the future while still imprisoned by his present, but what he saw never left him. Because when God shows you something, He plants it deeper than time, deeper than circumstance, deeper than logic. And what's planted deep survives pressure. Your pressure is not proof that the dream is dying. It's proof that it's alive. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. He doesn't press into what isn't prophetic. If your dreams have been under fire, it's because they carry weight, not potential power. The kind of power that shifts atmospheres, awakens people, and destroy deception. This is why your sleep has been anything but peaceful. This is why your rest has turned into revelation. Because God is building something inside of you that requires constant stirring, He won't let it settle. You may have asked, why can't I just have normal dreams? Why do mine always feel like assignments? Because you're not normal, and neither is your calling. This isn't about being special, it's about being set apart. You're not called to blend in, you're called to build. And builders don't dream of escape. They dream of structures, of blueprints, of transformation. You've seen cities changed, families healed, nations impacted, not because you're overly imaginative, but because God is whispering strategy into your spirit, and the strategy is disguised as vision. It's no coincidence that many of your dreams involve elevation, going upstairs, ascending mountains, climbing towers. These are not just metaphors, they're markers. God is showing you where He's taking you spiritually, into higher realms, higher responsibility, higher surrender. But elevation always comes with exposure. The higher you go, the more the weight shifts. And not everyone can come with you. Not everyone will understand the dreams you carry. That, too, is part of the cost. To dream deeply is to walk a narrow path. You will be misunderstood, overlooked, even mocked. But take heart, this path is paved by God, and those who walk it with integrity finish well. The word of the Lord says in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." There it is, your assurance. Your dreams are not random. They are part of His plan. They are evidence of your future, not interruptions to your now. And as long as you keep walking, what you've seen in the Spirit will soon touch the earth. So hold the weight. Don't despise it. Don't wish it away. Don't try to shrink to fit someone else's comfort. You've been shown much because you're meant to carry much. You're not overwhelmed. You're anointed. You've seen it more than once. That same dream, that same scene, that same face. You wake up feeling like you've been here before, and you have, maybe not in the natural, but in the spirit. Heaven doesn't stutter. When God repeats himself, it's not because he forgot, it's because you've missed it. Chosen one. Recurring dreams are not accidents. They are alerts. They come when you're moving too slowly. They return when your delay is becoming dangerous. They circle back when your spirit is being given another opportunity to obey. And right now, if you've been dreaming the same thing more than once, this is your final courtesy call from heaven. Some dreams are personal, others are prophetic, but the ones that won't go away, those are assignments. They are invitations into obedience. You may feel like you're running out of time, and that feeling isn't paranoia, it's discernment. When heaven keeps repeating a message, it means a window is open. And windows don't stay open forever. Don't let the enemy trick you into thinking delay is harmless. Delay is disobedience dressed in hesitation. And disobedience always has consequences. You've seen it in dreams, roads that lead nowhere, clocks with no hands, doors that slam before you reach them. Those aren't random, they are revelations. Heaven is showing you what delay will cost. But the fact that the dream came back again means mercy has come back again too. God hasn't given up on you. He's trying again, whispering again, warning again. But there is a difference between patience and permission. Heaven may still be speaking, but it will not speak forever. If you keep ignoring the instruction, you'll eventually lose the invitation. It is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 1. Whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. This is not to scare you. This is to awaken you. Scripture doesn't say, after a few rebukes. It says many. That's what recurring dreams are. Spiritual rebukes wrapped in mercy. But mercy is not a license to stall. Mercy is a moment and moments close. You were never meant to just dream. You were meant to respond. That repeating number in your dream, that repeated place, that unchanging expression on that person's face, all of it is a code, a spiritual signal. Don't ignore it just because it's familiar. Familiar doesn't mean insignificant. Sometimes God hides urgency inside what looks repetitive. And here's what's even more sobering. When you ignore a divine repetition long enough, your heart adjusts. You begin to normalize delay. You become numb to the warning. You explain away what used to shake you. And in that numbness, destiny starts to drift. But this message is your interruption. Heaven is pressing pause on your routine to say, this is the moment to move. Don't go another night brushing it off. Don't wake up one more time pretending that dream wasn't clear. It's time to stop writing it down and start walking it out. Because the more you delay, the more spiritual doors begin to close. Some of you were given instructions months ago. Some even years, and still, the same dream returns. Why? Because the instruction hasn't changed. What heaven told you last is still what heaven expects next. And here's the truth. If you keep ignoring it, the dream may stop, but not because the assignment is finished. It stops because your spirit has grown dull to it. That's a frightening place to be. When God goes quiet, it's rarely because he has nothing to say. It's often because he's already said what needed to be heard, and now he's waiting. But you don't have to end up there. Right now, you still feel it. The urgency, the trembling, the pull. That means the window is still open. That means the instruction can still be fulfilled. That means the dream wasn't a memory, it was a map. Chosen one. What you've seen on repeat is your next spiritual step. And to acknowledge that heaven is still knocking, comment the number 444 below. Why 444? Because in the prophetic, 4 often represents foundation. And when it repeats, it means build it now before it's too late. This is not just a number. It is a signpost that you are agreeing with the urgency of heaven. So when you type 444, you're saying, I will not delay anymore. I will build what I saw. I will obey the instruction. And 4, you're not typing digits. You're typing destiny. You're declaring, I will not die with divine blueprints buried inside of me. You're declaring, God, you can trust me to act on what you've shown me. So move now, before the next dream comes, before the warning grows quiet. Because the longer you wait, the heavier it gets and the harder it is to return to obedience. God is not just repeating himself. He is redeeming your delay. Don't miss the mercy in the message. There's a silence that comes after revelation, a silence that tests everything you've just seen. You know the feeling. You've woken up from a dream so vivid, so heavy, so real that your whole body still carries the weight of it. And then, nothing. No confirmation. No explanation. Just silence. Days pass. Maybe even weeks. You wonder if you misheard. You question your discernment. You reread the dream journal. But heaven says nothing more. Chosen one. That silence is not rejection. It is refinement. There are moments when God speaks loud and clear, but there are also moments when God tests the listener more than he expands the message. Because if you require constant noise to stay in faith, you're still depending on emotion. But faith matures in stillness. The silence after a dream is not always meant to be filled, it's meant to be held. This is where heaven watches your posture. Will you doubt what God said because he hasn't repeated it? Will you abandon what he revealed because he hasn't explained it? Or will you hold the word like Mary did, pondering it in your heart, protecting it from doubt, keeping it alive even when nothing confirms it? This is where dreamers are tested, not in the seeing, but in the waiting, because waiting reveals what you believe, and silence confronts what you trust. God is not being cruel. He is cultivating something deeper in you. He's not just after your obedience, he's after your endurance. Some dreams require time to grow into their full meaning. Others require you to grow before they can be fulfilled. You cannot steward prophetic vision with an impatient spirit. Impatience will cause you to move ahead of God. Anxiety will tempt you to manufacture the outcome, but heaven is never rushed. What God speaks in the night is often followed by a stretch of quiet to protect the seed until it's ready to be watered. If you've been in a silent season after a significant dream, don't despise it. That silence might be sacred. It's in that hush that your faith gets deep roots. It's in that pause that your inner world is restructured to carry what's coming. Because some of the loudest movements of heaven begin with stillness. No wind, no voice, no vision, just trust. This is the lesson Elijah learned in the cave. After seeing fire fall from heaven, after confronting false prophets, after hearing the people shout, "The Lord, He is God," he found himself alone, discouraged, afraid, and he waited for God to speak again. But God didn't come in the wind. He didn't come in the earthquake. He didn't come in the fire. He came in a whisper that required Elijah to lean in, not pull away. Chosen one. If the silence has grown thick, it may be because God is whispering now, and whispers aren't meant for crowds. They're meant for those close enough to listen. This is where your intimacy is revealed. Do you only love God when He's loud? Or do you trust Him when He's quiet? Do you still believe the dream when no one else does? Do you still carry the vision when no one is cheering? This season of silence is not about punishment. It's about positioning. God is preparing your heart, stripping away distractions, fine-tuning your discernment. Because what's coming next requires clarity, and clarity is born in stillness. This is why the silence feels uncomfortable, because your spirit knows something is shifting. The dream wasn't the finish line. It was the beginning. But the stillness that follows is not wasted time. It's the divine incubation of your next step. The Spirit of God is teaching you to walk by faith, not by confirmation. To trust what He said, not what you feel, because feelings fluctuate, but the word of the Lord is fixed. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 62, verse 5, "For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from Him." And there it is, a command to your soul. Wait. Not anxiously, not resentfully, but with hope, with expectation, with quiet confidence that what God spoke is still active. Even when He's not speaking again, silence is not the absence of presence. It's the amplification of trust. You're being invited into deeper places, into maturity, into faith that holds the dream even when it looks impossible, into spiritual alignment that doesn't shake when the noise stops. Don't rush this moment. Don't despise the pause. Don't let your flesh interpret silence as failure. What God began in the night, He will complete in due time. But He's watching how you wait. He's watching what you say during the stillness. He's watching if you hold the vision or toss it aside. Because dreamers don't just receive, they guard. They don't just celebrate, they sustain. And what you do in silence reveals if you're truly ready for the sound of fulfillment. So, take heart. He's still with you. Even when He's quiet, there is a hidden strength in the ones who see before it happens. A quiet authority in those who have wept over things not yet visible, groaned in the spirit over events yet to unfold, and interceded for people they haven't even met. That strength doesn't come from talent, it comes from trust. And you've been trusted, chosen one, more than you realize. God does not give spiritual insight recklessly. He shows the future to those He intends to position in it. The fact that you've seen things ahead of time, whether through dreams, impressions, warnings, or symbols, means you've been chosen to stand in the gap. What does that mean? It means you're a spiritual responder, a watchman, one who is placed ahead, not to boast in foresight, but to intercept what the enemy is planning. You don't just see what's coming, you're called to shift it. And that's a heavy calling, one that carries a burden few understand. You've seen danger and felt it before others noticed. You've walked into rooms and sensed what no one said. You've woken up with names, dates, locations in your spirit, not because you're gifted, but because you're assigned. This is spiritual responsibility, not supernatural curiosity. God gives forewarning to those who are positioned to respond, and often That response must come in secret. No stage, no applause, just obedience, just intercession, just warfare behind closed doors. That's why your dreams haven't been filled with fantasy, they've been filled with battle. You've seen floods and fires, betrayals and breakdowns, not to terrify you, but to train you, because a seer who doesn't intercede is just a spectator. But you are marked to intervene. When heaven shows you the enemy's blueprint, it's an invitation to destroy it in prayer. When you dream of destruction, it's often a call to build protection. When you see someone fall in a dream, it's not gossip fodder, it's a call to cover them. But what happens when you respond and nothing changes? What happens when you pray, warn, fast, and still see things fall apart? You begin to wonder, was it even real? Did my prayers matter? Did I fail to stop it? And here is heaven's answer to that. Obedience is never wasted. You're not responsible for outcomes. You're responsible for response. And even if the warning wasn't heeded by others, your obedience still shifted something. Sometimes your prayers stop an event. Other times they soften it. Sometimes they don't prevent it at all, but they prepare hearts for it. That's what watchmen do. They announce before others see. They pray before others panic. They prepare the way when no one else is watching. And yes, it's lonely. Many dreamers feel isolated, misunderstood, even avoided, because you see what others don't. You carry what others won't, and you discern what others ignore. But this separation is not punishment. It is placement. God hides his sharpest instruments. He pulls you aside so your spiritual senses aren't dulled by noise. He reduces your social circles to preserve your purity. He isolates to intensify not your ego, but your effectiveness. This is why some of your dreams reveal betrayal before it happens. Why you've sensed when people around you were not truly for you. Why you've been warned in advance about decisions you didn't yet understand. Because your spiritual life isn't passive, it's protective. You've been posted as a spiritual guard over regions, people, families, even movements. And your dreams are a surveillance system in the spirit. Don't ignore what you see. Don't dismiss what you feel. Your assignment may not come with applause, but it comes with heavenly authorization. The word of the Lord declares in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, verse 17, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. So hear the word I speak and give them warning from me. I know this is not about being dramatic. It's about being responsible. Watchmen don't just scream. They stand. They don't just see danger. They confront it. And sometimes they do it weeping, alone, unknown. But God sees. He knows the nights you woke up interceding with no one to witness it. He remembers the times you obeyed the dream's warning, even when it cost your reputation. He honors your role not because it's visible, but because it's vital. So keep your post, even when no one claps. Stay faithful to the silence. Guard what others disregard, because you weren't chosen to be famous. You were chosen to be faithful. And in the end, it won't be the crowd that crowns you. It will be heaven. You didn't ask for this. You didn't wake up one day and say, I want to carry spiritual responsibility. But heaven looked at the timeline of earth and at the assignment hanging in eternity and said, they can carry this. They won't break. And And so, here you are, marked by dreams that don't let you rest, chosen by visions you didn't create, surrounded by confirmations no one else can see. This is not pressure. It is a privilege. It means God has trusted you with visibility in the invisible realm. But with trust comes stewardship. You cannot carry this lightly. You are not just dreaming, you are announcing every vision you've received, every warning you've carried, every number, voice, face, symbol, heaven sent it for impact, not for your entertainment. You weren't born to be a bystander. You are part of a divine plan to interrupt darkness and release light. And it's time to take that seriously, because there are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. The intercessor who almost gave up needs your dream to show them they're not alone. The prophetic voice in hiding needs your courage to step forward so they'll know they're not crazy. The one entangled in warfare needs the insight heaven gave you to break through. This is bigger than you. It's bigger than your comfort, your timeline, your fears. This is about obedience on a level that ripples through eternity. The Word of God declares in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 33, verse 3, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know." That's what's happening in your dream life. God is answering the groaning of your spirit by revealing mysteries, warnings, assignments, instructions. And now, you are responsible for them. You may think your dream journal is just for you. But what if it's a manual for someone else's survival? What if the dream you're afraid to speak is the very word that would save a life? You see, your silence doesn't just delay your destiny, it starves someone else's deliverance. And I know, you've fought hard just to stay standing. The isolation has been real. The attacks have been constant. You've been misunderstood, underestimated, overlooked, and still, the dreams come. Still, the vision poor. Still, your spirit wakes up at 3 o'clock m, like a trumpet in the dark. You didn't quit then. Don't quit now. If this word is confirming something deep in you, like this message, share it. And subscribe to stay aligned with future releases. Not because you owe anyone anything, but because someone else is waiting. Someone needs the language you just received. Someone has been begging God to speak, and this may be the answer they were hoping for. Comment below. What has God shown you recently that won't leave your spirit? Let this space be a confirmation zone for dreamers who feel unseen. And if you feel led to sow into this message, do it, not because it's demanded, but because it's sacred. When you pour into revelation, you say to heaven, I honor what you're speaking. I value the dream realm. I won't ignore it. Only, whether you give financially, through prayer, or by spreading the word, every act of obedience multiplies the mission. Now, back to your dream. You've been seeing things ahead of time for a reason. You carry spiritual radar. You pick up what others miss. And that's not a burden, it's a weapon. Because the greatest warfare strategy of all time is to see the enemy coming before he arrives. And that's what you do. Your dreams are advance notices, blueprints, codes, preemptive alerts from heaven. And they're not just for information, they are a call to action. When you see it in the spirit, you move in the natural. When you feel it pressing in your sleep, you pray. When it returns a second or third time, you speak it. And when God releases you, you act. There is no such thing as a passive dreamer in the kingdom of God. There are only two categories: those who respond and those who regret. And I believe you're in the first group, because if you've made it this far in the message, it means your spirit is alert, your heart is open, and your yes is already forming. Don't let fear silence it. Don't let the enemy steal it. And don't let delay weaken it. You were not given sight to sit in silence. So rise and move with what you've seen. Don't leave the vision in the dark. There are dreams you've had that didn't make sense at the time, symbols that felt disconnected, faces that felt random, scenes that stirred something deep but seemed to have no clear meaning. You may have even written them off as too strange, too fragmented, too emotional. But what if they weren't? What if those dreams weren't nonsense but encrypted? God often hides the clearest assignments inside the most cryptic visions, not because he wants to confuse you, but because he wants to train your discernment. The dreamer's journey isn't about mastering interpretation, it's about maturing in trust. He doesn't just give answers. He gives you a process, and in that process, he watches. Will you chase the meaning or abandon the message? Will you dig deeper or walk away? You see, the chosen ones are not always the ones who get clear, perfect dreams. They're the ones who stay in communion until revelation unfolds. Because revelation doesn't always come immediately, it comes through proximity. If every dream you received made instant sense, you wouldn't seek him after FaceTime. But mystery pulls you back into intimacy. It forces you to ask again, wait again, listen again. And in that process, you don't just get interpretation, you get transformation. That's why God doesn't always explain everything at once, because your spirit is growing into what you've seen. This is why some dreams are delayed in meaning. You weren't ready yet, not intellectually, but spiritually. And God, in his mercy, gave you the vision early, so that by the time understanding caught up, your heart would already be prepared to carry the weight. Dreamers must become students of timing, because not every dream is for now. Some are for later. Some are warnings. Some are invitations. Some are blueprints. And your spirit must learn to discern what to act on, what to watch, and what to wait for. One of the greatest mistakes in the prophetic realm is acting too quickly on dreams that were meant to be developed, not delivered. Just because you dreamed it doesn't mean you have permission to release it. Just because you saw it doesn't mean you are the one to speak it. You must learn the rhythms of heaven. Learn how God speaks to you. Learn how he draws your attention, how he stirs your spirit, how he uses repetition, silence, burden, and peace to communicate divine timing. Some of the most powerful dreams you've ever had may still be locked, not because you're blind, but because the moment for them to open has not yet come. But here is what you must remember. Delayed interpretation is not wasted revelation. The dream is still alive, and the vision will speak at the appointed time. God is not careless. He does not throw mysteries at you to leave you wandering. When he hides something, it's not from you. It's for you, to be uncovered in the right season, to be released when your capacity has caught up with your calling. It was written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. Though the vision tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. You see, your responsibility is not to force the meaning. It's to protect the message, to carry the dream with reverence. even when it feels incomplete, to let your journal be a vault, not a stage. Some things you've seen are not for the public. They're for intercession, for preparation, for private alignment. Heaven may have shown it to you so that you would steward it, not share it. This requires humility, because we often want to do something with what we've received. But sometimes, the most spiritual response is silence, waiting, writing, praying, and that silence builds something in you. It shapes your heart into a place God can trust with more. This is what He's been doing, training you to hold mysteries, not just speak them. That's why you've felt tension between what you've seen and what you can explain, because your anointing is growing faster than your words. Your dreams are running ahead of your platform. Your spirit has been in realms that your language has not yet caught up with. Don't rush to explain what heaven is still unfolding. God is doing a deep work in you, teaching you to value the unseen, the delayed, the sacred, and in due time, what was once encrypted will become unmistakably clear. You'll wake up one day, read an old dream, and gasp, because suddenly you'll know this is the moment it was for, and everything will make sense. So, keep the journal open. Keep the altar burning. Keep your heart positioned. What feels incomplete now is only waiting for time to catch up with glory. There is something sacred about the way God ends what He begins, not always loud, not always dramatic. Sometimes the ending comes with a whisper, a stillness, a knowing that settles deep into your bones, the kind that tells you this is the completion of a cycle, the sealing of a chapter. The final piece of the vision I showed you long ago. You, chosen one, are standing at the threshold of such a moment. You've walked through the fire of misunderstanding. You've survived the drought of delay. You've carried dreams too heavy for your age, and insight too sharp for your environment. There were nights you asked God to take it back, to quiet the visions, to just let you rest. But He didn't, because what He placed in you was never meant to be put to sleep. It was meant to be fulfilled. And now, what once terrified you no longer shakes you. What once felt too big now fits your shoulders. What once was mystery has become mandate. This is how heaven finishes what it starts, not by removing the weight, but by expanding your spirit to carry it. You've matured in silence, been tested in obscurity, honed by delay, and it all led to this truth, that the dream didn't change, you did. And that was the point all along. The process was never just about clarity, it was about capacity. Could you still believe when no one else did? Could you still carry the vision when the evidence vanished? Could you still honor the whisper when the world screamed louder? You could. You did. And now, you will. Because every chosen one reaches this point, eventually the moment where what was once invisible becomes undeniable, and the moment where you're no longer the dreamer, you're the fulfillment. You are what the enemy feared would be born from all those restless nights. You are what generations before you interceded to see rise. You are the one who said yes when everything in your life told you to run. And because of that yes, the vision is coming to life, not just in you, but through you. But don't forget what it cost to carry this far. The warfare wasn't random. The delay wasn't cruel. The silence wasn't absence. Each one carved into your spirit a greater authority, a deeper discernment, a stronger faith. And now, you are not only a vessel, you are a witness. you can say with confidence, God kept his word, as it was written in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 19. God is not a man, that he should lie, nor a son of man, that he should change his mind. Does he speak and not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? No, he does not lie. He does not forget. He does not tease his children with false visions or torment them with empty dreams. Every picture, every number, every voice, every warning, he meant every bit of it. You weren't crazy. You weren't imagining things. You were being shown something that existed before time, and heaven simply needed a surrendered vessel on earth to say yes to its birth. That's who you are. A midwife to mysteries, a deliverer of divine designs. And where the world saw delay, God saw development. Where others saw silence, God saw saturation. While they dismissed you as being too deep, heaven was drilling the roots of your calling deeper than the reach of any storm. You weren't just being prepared to see, you were being shaped to sustain. And now, what you've dreamed is drawing near. You can feel it. You can sense it. Not in emotion, but in spirit. The same presence that once whispered the vision is now stirring your feet to walk into it. It won't look exactly like you imagined. It will look better, because you've grown beyond needing it to look how you saw it now. You're focused on why you saw it. You understand now, the dream was never about personal fulfillment. It was about eternal purpose. And you were never just dreaming for you. You were dreaming for a generation, for a bloodline, for a city, for a people who didn't know how to ask, but needed someone to carry the answer. You did that, quietly, faithfully, tearfully, boldly. And now, the release is beginning. The gate is opening. The fulfillment is unfolding. So do not shrink back now. Do not apologize for the anointing you carry. Do not minimize what you were born to establish. Because when God finishes a thing, he doesn't just complete it, he crowns it. You are being crowned. Chosen one, not just with authority, but with clarity. Not just with revelation, but with results. Not just with vision, but with victory. And this is only the beginning of the next. Because every fulfilled dream births a new assignment. And every chosen one walks from one yes to another. Walk boldly, walk faithfully, walk fully awake. Because now the dream walks with you. If you've made it to the end of this message, it's not by chance, it's because your spirit has been marked for more. You've felt the weight, you've seen the signs, you've carried the dream, and deep down, you've always known. You were never called to blend in, you were born to break ground. Everything you've just heard wasn't just content, it was confirmation. God has been speaking to you for a long time, through dreams, through whispers, through spiritual nudges that wouldn't let go. And this message simply echoed what your soul already knew. So don't walk away from this unchanged. Let it take root. Let it stir up the parts of you that have been quiet for too long. Let it breathe fresh fire on the call you thought had passed you by. Because nothing is wasted in the kingdom, not even the delay. If this word confirmed something deep in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Like this message, share it with someone who's been battling silently. And subscribe, if you haven't already. The ones who are searching for language for their dream life might find it here through your obedience. Leave a comment below with what part struck you most. This space isn't just for engagement, It's a space of agreement, of prophetic alignment, of building a community of dreamers who will not sleep on their calling. And if you feel led to sow into this word, honor the oil, support the flow, help carry this message further. Every seed, whether through sharing, praying, or giving, is a step in advancing kingdom purpose. You are chosen. You are ready. Now walk boldly in what you've seen.